we're here with Maggie at Gunners Firearms. How are you doing today, Maggie?
Doing great, Mark. Welcome back to Gunners, everybody. Been a while.
Yeah, it has been a while. It's been a good while. Couple months. But that's good because that gives us a chance to talk about what's been going on, because I bet a lot's been going on over the last couple months.
Yeah, but we got some time to catch up, some
Absolutely.
things to catch up on.
Absolutely. Hey, and there was something that you had mentioned right before we started filming here. How did you say? It was something about the kind of the standards of, why don't you put it, I don't think I could put it the way you put it. So
I think we need to talk about the procedures of what lines you can and cannot cross.
That's the way you put it. Yeah.
When you are making a purchase for a firearm. And I know this is a topic that gets covered frequently, and I'm not sure how to approach this from any new direction because this information is all already out there. I know we've talked about purchasing guns before and what you can and can't do, but it does seem like the rules tend to change year to year, store to store. Definitely, they have different rules, and state to state as well.
Because there's certain gun stores I don't buy guns from because I don't like the way they do stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that is totally fine. That is just their personal business protocol,
and
how
my
they want to do.
preference.
Exactly. And there are multiple options out there for people to choose from. Because obviously, you know, if there was one better than the other, that would be your only option. So.
Well, and I think, because we have talked about this a lot, but I think it's particularly interesting now because what you had mentioned is anytime there's kind of a major change or shift in how America does guns,
yes,
like an election, so to
yes,
say, that there's people that I guess what you're saying is they begin to then try to cross lines again. What does that mean? What do you mean by that?
So it looks like you still get straw purchases. They just appear in different ways. A straw purchase is when someone comes in wanting to purchase a gun, but they either don't have the money for it or they can't complete the paperwork for whatever reason. I've heard every excuse under the sun, from I can't see the paperwork. He's going to fill it out for me and I'll just pay for it. You can't do that. The person that pays for it has to be the person that's filling out the paperwork for it. There are very few reasons to have someone else fill out the paperwork for you. One of them is you are legally blind and you really truly cannot see to fill out that paperwork.
Feels like you shouldn't be shooting a gun if you're legally blind, but it's kind of like
there's
fill out my paperwork for my driver's license because I can't see.
There's collectors out there, but you still get state issued IDs.
I do get that.
And they do make firearms that are pretty friendly for people with vision impairments and that wouldn't be able to rack a slide or anything like that. You got tip-up barrels, so.
Well, so how are people? So people are crossing the lines. What you're saying is, since the election, there's people that are crossing the line on straw purchases.
This has been before. This has been
so
after.
What is different now?
It's just.
Because I agree. I mean, there's plenty of that before, but are they doing it differently now? Is that?
No, it's just there's nothing new under the sun. We haven't invented anything new. It's just new faces coming in doing it, or somebody just checks the wrong box and explains it, and it's like, well, no, I can't let you do that. What you've checked there and what you've told me says this is how we're going to stop the sale. Really sorry about it. Some people get very upset when they're told the reasons that we can't complete a purchase. Some people get very upset because they get no reason why they're not allowed to complete the purchase. The digital system that they're typing it in on kicks them out of the system, and they're told at the counter, nope, you can come back in 30 days, but our system will recognize you if you try again, and no.
If I understand you right, kind of what it sounds like to me is that since the election, there's kind of like a new customer base. Like, is that?
No,
like,
this really isn't.
Or is it like a flood of people that maybe thought, "What? I'm waiting to buy a gun." Like, what do you?
No, it's not like a flood of new buyers or anything like that. That's kind of a misnomer. You can't say that.
Yeah, well, I just meant like different people. Like you had this base potentially, you know, and I know you always get new people.
But it still happens with the regulars too.
Okay, interesting. Are they getting more bold?
It's still like I'm buying this for my significant other, my husband, my child on their wedding. It's a gift to my future son-in-law, you know, or whomever. And I'm paying for it, but it's gonna be theirs, and I want them to do the paperwork for it. So how is the correct way to gift somebody a firearm when there is a transfer of money involved in that? Someone has to pay for that firearm. And if it's not going to be the person that fills out the background check, what's the correct way to go about that? Now, every store will have a different policy.
So would you say and I apologize, I'm just trying to understand the crossing the line piece. Would you say it's more like people are kind of forgetting the rules, or kind of thinking that, well, now that it's this way, I could do whatever I want?
That's
it. Okay, that makes more sense. So people are like, well, now that this guy's president, I can do whatever I want. And you're at the gun store saying, no.
We're still operating under the rules that were put in place.
I gotcha. That's
for the
tough,
last 4 years.
That's
and
a tough spot to be in.
Still rolling forward with the previous, as I've put it, you know, the regime change. So you're still rolling with what the previous regime put in place. And so you got to go with that until the direction changes, or until there's never less rules. There's always more rules. So I'd say until they, you know, reduce some of the requirements or rules on it, but that's not going to happen. Another thing I love hearing about, we're going to talk about some silencers and people talking about, Hearing Protection Act too, because that's another good one. But the lines to cross at the gun store, like, it sucks because people come in and they don't know anything about firearms. Where do you go to learn about firearms when you don't know, but you need information? Where do you...
YouTube?
Yeah, okay. So YouTube, but personally...
That's where I went, or somewhere like here. You know, like somewhere where somebody knows.
Or if you're interested, you walk up to a counter at a sporting goods store, or you walk into a small standalone business that is what their bread and butter is just a little gun sale counter. So, I mean, you walk in and those individuals at that counter should be there to give you information, and you would like to hope that they're giving you the correct information. But it's the information changes based on the state you're in and the state's rules.
Absolutely.
Because they get to make their own rules.
And to some degree, city ordinances, that sort of thing as well.
Because some things where you are within the city limits, those items may not be legal. But if you live outside of the city limits in county, you have acreage, you have property, those are totally legal. They are usually required as pest control, varmint rifles, things like that, something that would have a higher capacity. But a lot of people have questioned the little Form 4473 and the little question that says, do you reside within city limits? And the question in this part is, why does that matter? Well, it was made to pertain to states where you have different rules within the city versus the county, and things within the city, you have a reduction of capacity, but if you go out to the country, you can increase the capacity. So
really, the in the end, would the lesson of anybody watching this be more like rules still apply?
Rules still apply.
Yes.
It's never wrong to ask questions at the gun store. Really good question to ask your gun dealer would be, how do I go about this? Explain to them the situation and say, hey, here's what I want to do. what's the correct way
Don't
to
just
do.
walk in the door
Yeah.
and be like, here's what I'm going to do.
Yeah, don't just walk in the door with your FaceTime app going or whatever your face texting is and start filming everything and having somebody else go, stop there, that one right there. That's the one you need. You're going to buy that one. Well, that tells me that person is not interested in buying the gun. That tells me the person on the phone is interested in buying that gun. And the person in here has no business looking at that maybe. It doesn't seem right, but that's the way we are on our side of the counter have now been trained to deal with the customer side of the counter. And no, it's not always right, but this is how it's going to be until